All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to MPG Women session for April. We are so happy to have Sister Saba Naseem here. Sister Saba is a certified life and career coach. And actually, Saba and I worked, at least 10 plus years way back in our careers at this point now. We're aging ourselves, but we worked together for a little bit at Mars. So, Saba, I will turn it over to you for an introduction. And the topic today that you'll be talking to MPG Woman about is finding your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Saima. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And thank you all for being here. First of all, excuse me if my voice sounds kind of bad. I'm just going through really bad seasonal allergies. No matter what medicine I take or try, it just isn't really working that well for me. So I'm so sorry if I sound a little bit kind of like, like I have a sore throat or bad. So yeah, today we will be covering.
Oh, nice, man. Start opening the bag. Start opening the bag.
Do not mess up. Do not mess up the bags there.
Do you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry. I put everyone on mute. Apologies.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Yeah. So what you're seeing on the screen is like the agenda. I will be going over, just an intro of myself and what is my mission and purpose with the work I do. And I'll have some questions. It's more like around the topic again, just different scenarios. We'll be covering those. And again, why finding our voice is difficult at workplace. Some of my observations and reasoning. It'll be interesting to see if you guys resonate with them, some of those things that I kind of talk about. And at the end, I'll be having some tips around how we can practice to kind of discover our voice or kind of, being able to speak up. And then we will have Q&A. I want this session to be more interactive. Please stop me anytime you have any questions or anything you guys want to share or add. I'll be happy to kind of hear from you guys. So we'll go right into our intro, my intro. So who am I? Again, my name is, Saba Naseem. I was born and raised in Pakistan. I came to the US in my early 20s. I got married, and that's how I ended up here. And this is how my professional journey started in the US. And yeah, I've been here over 25 years. And like Simon said, it is true. It's such a small world. Sometimes you think of it like we crossed our paths at Mars when I was working here for a little while. Little did I know that we are going to be finding ourselves again, through this group. So it was really nice to talk to her again after many years. So touching on my upbringing a little bit, like I said, I grew up in Pakistan. The way I was raised in a very traditional household where cultural values and religious beliefs, kind of shaped everything. My parents kind of guided me lovingly, of course, at every step of my life, teaching me to trust their decisions and follow their lead. I don't know if it was just my household or this is how most of the people in the South Asian culture, grow up. But this is how, it was just kind of life introduced to me. It was just instilled in me that, like, the older folks, your parents, they know better. That's why you just kind of follow their lead, whatever, decision they make it's most likely the right decision. Independent or critical thinking wasn't part of my, kind of wasn't part of my lifestyle when I grew up. My world was really around understanding, just like in the South Asian cultures. Girls grow up, most likely they see their moms and the women around them that they get educated. But the understanding that I had, just like most girls that I seen around me, that you get educated, you get your bachelor's, and then you just, get married at some point after that, and you become a housewife, you raise kids, and you dedicate your life to your family. And that, of course, was in the past that I actively chose when I started my practical life, which was in the US. Little did I know that I was going to even end up here. Um, After I get married, it was, I guess, destiny. Um, but again, I just grew up in a very traditional household with the religious and cultural values that you just being obedient, being a good kid means you be obedient to your parents, you follow what they say for the most part, you especially the advice you get. um, and that's how I grew up. I don't know if any of you kind of resonate with that kind of upbringing. Do you guys want to share your story? Okay, we'll move on. Again, a little bit of my journey here. Um, Again, I grew up in Pakistan, and like I mentioned, I came here when I was in my early 20s. Um, I just really liked the opportunity that, I can, if I want, I can work here. The degree in finance that I got from Pakistan, if I want, I can, I do have the opportunity to um, kind of explored the corporate America. My husband was very supportive. So, with that in mind, I started my career, my, professional life. I worked in like small to mid-sized company at entry level positions. And then a couple of years after that, I, ended up at Mars, a global company, a lot more exposure to different people, different ways of working. It kind of opened global, and working in global companies, of course, it opens up your mind to all different kinds of personalities, complex situations, complex people. And from there, I got another really good opportunities, and I ended up at Johnson and Johnson. I worked there for many years, and then something inside of me really just changed, and I wanted to kind of pursue my passion to help people in some way or form. Something I was struggling with for a couple of years, and I kind of wanted to be in the service of others. Just kind of like do something for women, for like some time of like the coaching way. So I took a leap of faith, and I left my corporate career, and then I became the entrepreneur, started my business as a career and life coach. And here I am today. It's been 1.5 years since, I'm on this path. What is my purpose and mission? My overall purpose and mission is to, kind of help discover your clarity and your purpose. I know we all perceive life differently. We do find ourselves stuck at some point in our life where we feel lost. We don't know where to go, whether it's personal or professional, because I have, experienced it myself and people around me. So I kind of, help folks be the support and help them, find that clarity. I empower and help Muslim women to find their voice globally. And here today, our topic is to, understand and provide guidance with the challenges that you're facing in your professional life, or it could be in your personal life as well. So I'm going to pause here. Some of I'm going to have some interactive questions, just more like a thought-provoking, some kind of situations that I experienced myself. But before I go into those questions, just want to pause here and ask, does anyone have any question? I'll take silence as a no, and I'll move on to my question one. So do you guys ever feel trapped in your workplace? Do you really feel like there's an invisible wall between what you truly feel and what you're allowed to say? And if I elaborate, I feel like in professional settings, sometimes you feel like you cannot be your true self. And you sometimes find yourself contemplating, should I be saying how I truly feel? Or should I just kind of not say anything? I don't know how it will be perceived. And you just stay quiet. Um, because I personally felt that in many meetings when, in the professional life. So what would you guys say, any of you, in like from like if we were to do the rating from 1 to 10, how many of you felt like that?
This is Saima. I'll go first. I mean, Alhamdulillah, I've been fortunate that I haven't really felt like I can't voice myself. I take that back. I remember a role, maybe probably 7 years ago, where it was more political in nature, and I dealt with senior leaders, and it always felt like I had to be thinking about the specific leader that I was talking to, and cater
Mhm.
my messaging and just kind of hold back a little. But thankfully, that's kind of changed. I mean, I think there's always that landscape of filtering your messaging, but definitely in areas like, for example, IND or DEI, whatever we call them, LGBTQ movement, everybody getting excited in June and having to kind of be quiet about it, and just smiling and keeping quiet. And especially in the last 2 years with Gaza,
Yeah.
thankfully in my corporate area it doesn't come up, but you're just kind of always quiet about things that could be potentially just become a very big problem for you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly this kind of scenario. When you were talking, I can feel like, yeah, I experienced it, and or I do understand what you were saying. It's like you have to watch what you say, how you frame it. Sometimes you have to hold back, depending on some personalities that that are around you. So exactly, you're right. This is how you feel sometimes. Sometimes if you get lucky, you don't have to worry too much about it if you get lucky with a good boss or good culture. But believe me, if you stay long enough in your professional corporate life, you will face that, sooner or later at some point.
Yeah, and then when you mentioned boss, it made me realize, like, there are times when um I had to convey a difficult message to levels above them, and if
Mhm.
they weren't on the same page, that was very difficult to do, because then I felt like I didn't have anybody in my corner,
Yeah,
and that didn't make it easy to keep going forward, right?
yeah, 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 exactly. Thank you,
Do you
Saima.
mind if I second her for that? Because it did happen with me 4 years ago, or maybe more than that. Um, I was I was at the job. I always be quiet, just let them say whatever they want to say. When I got to fit a point, and I get kind of trying to speak up to myself and make them stop doing what they're doing or saying what they're saying, I lost my job. I get fired for speaking up and trying to stop them, because it was my boss, then the owner of the company. Even he came and told me, I cannot back you up. I'm sorry. Do you think I'm gonna stand behind your words? Sorry, you're bye. And he fired me because I did speak up and made them trying to stop the way they talked to me and the way they treated me.
I'm so sorry about that. I hope, I know sometimes it's just if you find yourself in a bad situation, sometimes it's just that maybe that's not the right place for you, but sometimes you don't know that, until it's like too late, um, and there's nothing you can do about it. But no, I feel your pain. Sometimes it's because work is where you spend most of your time. And when you don't feel supported and you don't feel heard, it's really frustrating. It's like it just ruins your personal life. Sometimes it affects your personal life. So I I I feel your pain. It's must have been terrible for you to face that and then kind of come out of it.
Yeah, at that point, I'm a single mom, but at that point, it was really not a good time for me to lose my job.
Yeah.
But Alhamdulillah, now I'm in a better place. My bosses, they're really, uh, they're treasuring my work. Like now, I get tons of thank you for everything I do. Uh, Even I got very high level of thank you, and I was so appreciated. And
Hmm.
and I'm thankful I don't get this anymore. But now,
Yeah.
now I'm in a better place.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just, I don't know. I'm also a firm believer sometimes Allah makes some situations happen because it's just meant to be. Maybe your time is done at that place. Maybe it's just it just sometimes you feel like you don't even know why it happened. And it's just, maybe it just kind of meant to be that way. But I know in hindsight, you can kind of, justify it like that. But at the moment, when your world is falling down, when things are falling apart, and you feel like you didn't even do anything bad, it's like what just happened, why it just kind of went down so bad, so but again, the good news is, or the good thing to hear your story is that it sounds like after that rough patch you landed on a much better opportunity, and you're around much better people, so that is really nice to hear that, that you feel appreciated. That's what you want to kind of feel like, when you're at your workplace. So moving on to our second question. Have you ever sat in department meetings, nodding and smiling, while inside your heart you are screaming to be heard, but can't seem to find the courage to speak up? Um, Again, from my personal experience, at some point in my career, I did feel that, and again, I had to find a way to change it. But that is again a very difficult situation, um, when you just maybe because of your cultural conditioning, or maybe because of your personality, or maybe the people you are around, you just kind of like have hard time, speaking up. Maybe it's a confidence, maybe you're shy, so there could be multiple reasons for that. But overall, it's a very frustrating situation to be in. And you shouldn't be like that. That's the whole point. We should be able to speak up. We should be able to share what we want to say, so being feeling this way, it's not, healthy. It's not the right thing. And my third question is around, have you ever felt like you weren't being recognized for a promotion or other opportunities because of the simple fact that you're a Muslim woman? Maybe it could be because of your color, your country, your accent. Let's be honest, people do kind of discriminate us on that. Or maybe your education. You have all the skills that it takes to kind of do the job, or the, you know, the next level up. But maybe your education, you know, doesn't support that. Um, but does anyone want to share any experience around that? I see a hand raised by Farah.
Yeah, hi. Well, I had similar experience at my current job,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a school, it's a public school,
Okay.
and I was hired for middle school, and majority of my experience has been middle and high school. And something happened. I had Israeli co-teacher, a Jewish teacher, who, as soon as 7th October started, he just changed. He became indifferent. He started doing things very sneakily and going around trying to, um, collect some dirt on me. And I could see those tricky ways. And I was being, sharp, observe. And I said, I am not going to be quiet. I'm going to speak to someone and share my, in like discomfort. So I
Mm-hmm.
spoke to the union rep, and she said, "Well, I'm glad you did share. This is, I understand what you're saying as it happens." And and then what I did, I feel, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the opportunities to notice some of the unprofessional things the teacher was doing. So when I spoke to the union, they said, point those things out because they are the ones that would get him in trouble first. And then do mention this as well. And I mentioned that. And then the, head of the department, she was like, I said, I don't know what I did with him because I was always, very cooperative and kind, and we have to share one room all day long. And it was like second year when in October, the school starts in September, October, this thing happened. And then the whole year I had to like literally suffer and walk on the eggshell, like, just to guard myself from him. And so when I said, I don't know what happened, the head of the department said, oh, no, no, nothing changed. This is who he is. We knew it. It's just that he came out, more after the 7th October. And I was like, wow, it's, a lot that she's agreeing to that. She's acknowledging. And so what they did, first thing they switched my assignment. Instead of being with him, they switched me to another one. But that wasn't what I was hired for. And that also meant that I was working all day long without any break, not even lunch break. So again, I spoke up. I said, hey, it's against the labor policy. I am supposed to have my lunch break and I'm supposed to have my prep just like other teachers. And this is not fair. And I spoke to the union again. I said, look, I want this, this, this. And they said, okay, we will convey your concern. Guess what? They moved me to elementary school altogether. I was like, what? I have 10 years of, middle and high school experience. Why did they move me when I said I want this class? And there was another person who was together with that person trying to dig dirt on me. She also wanted this one I asked. They put her back because she was their own, but they moved me back there. First, they moved me to a place where I didn't even have lunch break, which is against the law. On top of it, then they moved my school altogether. And I was very upset. I tried to raise my voice. I tried to send messages, and there was like no response. There was nothing. And I thought, okay, fine. I think I'll just do my year here and find something else. That this is what it is because they clearly, the other person, which I complained and I provided them proof. So this is what the person, the two of them are doing. But still, they gave the other woman that thing which I asked for, but not me. So I knew exactly. And they did it very sneakily. They first put me out of that school, they moved me to elementary, and then they moved that other woman to the class I wanted. So I was like, They really, and they did it like I came home on a weekend, Friday evening, and I saw the email, Monday you are supposed to report to this school, this. So like, didn't give me time to like, collect my stuff or like close up and everything. And so I was like, all that jargons of like, we understand, we are here for you, and we are glad you shared. We won't let anyone, discriminate, blah 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 blah. But no,
Yeah.
on top of it, in the morning announcements, the assistant principal comes and says, our heart goes out to those Israeli families. Da da da. Seriously? Not
Yeah.
to the victims, those thousands of women, children, men slaughtered. Your heart doesn't go out to them, but to the Israelis. So
Oh,
I was, I was like, no matter what, on top they just say, "Oh, we understand and we are here to protect you." But no, they really protect their own interest, and they put me where I didn't want.
yeah.
Um, so I am literally waiting till the June now, till the year ends, and I'll move on.
Yeah. Ah, now I'm so sorry. While you were speaking about this situation, it made me think of my situation. A couple of years back, I wouldn't name the company just to kind of keep it private, but it happened, something similar to me. And where I was like part of this project team where folks from multiple teams were involved to do their part, to make the project successful. The person in charge knew I was a good worker. She gave me additional work, knowing that I wouldn't complain because I was nice, I was taking on more. That work did not belong to me. She gave it to me. I was taking it on as a nice person, just like, okay, but then my workload got to be too much for me. So I built some courage to speak up. And when I addressed it, she pushed back and she said, it's part of my responsibility when clearly it wasn't. Again, sometimes as I reflect on it, I wonder if it's, and I think it is because it was part of my upbringing to avoid conflict and stay quiet to the hierarchy that I got scared. I stayed quiet, but then the unfairness of the situation kind of drove me crazy. I did build some courage finally to speak to the higher management. And when I did, they knew about that person, that it was a difficult person to work with. So, what they did, rather than taking care of that person, they decided to move me into a different role. They acknowledged that I didn't do anything wrong. And they said, yeah, the person is, it's a very difficult person to work with. But again, I'm glad I finally spoke up and I don't feel bad. It was killing me for months when I wasn't speaking up. But when I did, again, the outcome wasn't exactly what I had wanted, but at least, that part makes me feel like at least I said what I had to say. Um, but again, did they resolve the situation and or how they resolved it wasn't ideal. It's yours is similar. When you speak up, it's like they moved you to the other, areas or other schools, but they didn't really take care of the person. And they did acknowledge, yeah, we know that person, is like that. So unfortunately, this happens, and sometimes it's not fair what they do in that situation, but it's just part of this professional culture, sometimes that happens. um, but yeah, thank you for sharing this story. It is kind of comforting, just to hear other people's situations and stories, like it happens, um, so we'll move on. Again, just a little bit, I want to touch on why finding your voice at work is difficult. And again, for me, it was really, like I said, part of, I think, my upbringing working in the West and growing up in the East, in South Asian culture, where they don't really kind of, our cultural conditioning is so different than the life is like here, the professional life. So sometimes that kind of holds you back. And again, corporate America is it's an uphill battle, especially if you grow up in a different culture. Cultural conditioning, again, the good person is defined by how obedient you are, how you're just programmed by really not to challenge your parents or older people, um, even when something they do is kind of um, do wrong. Yeah, Farah, exactly. Our upbringing does play a big role in how we handle things, in our professional life or practical life. So true. And these lessons are often reinforced not only in our homes, in our society, and sometimes, of course, I know, and it's very clear that our religion doesn't teach that, but sometimes they misuse the religion. They unfortunately say, yeah, the religion wants you to be, to stay quiet, be humble. Humble is a good thing, but you do have to know your situation or where you are. Um, and, sometimes that also plays a big role. And we end up, kind of following that until one day we find out, um, in our practical life, like, oh no, this doesn't work like that, So this is why I feel like it's very hard to speak up when you grow up in one way and you find yourself in a very different culture, and your upbringing didn't really prepare you for that. Um, again, I had a successful career in corporate America, but I did struggle initially to find my voice. I had situations where I was very frustrated. I didn't know what to do, but I stayed quiet. But I know staying quiet does kill you inside. It doesn't feel right. You do get frustrated. You sometimes end up taking it out on your family members or people around you. And the best thing is to find your voice somehow. Farah, you want to speak? You want to say something?
Yeah, not only it kills you inside, but it gives other people, a green light to go ahead and subjugate more. And, as I said, our upbringing, I would avoid, ignore, smile, and move on. But then there came a point I noticed that the two of the teachers in the new school now are
Mm-hmm.
like just being so disrespectful to me. And I was like, what happened? But, you know, they probably heard whatever happened at the middle school level. So they took advantage and they continued treating me that way until one day I literally went up to one teacher and I said, hey, the way you spoke to me is not nice. It was condescending, it was rude. I do not speak to you this way. I'm always respectful and I expect you to reciprocate. She didn't expect me to speak because I'm a quiet person. So she looked
Mm-hmm.
at me like, wow, where is this coming from? And it takes a lot. Honestly, my voice chokes. I
Yeah.
feel like, most of the time, oh, forget it. I can't, or
Yeah.
I forget my arguments. I start talking and I forget my arguments that I wanted to say. And I go like, mum, mum, mum. But that day, I stood up, I spoke to her, and since that day, even now, she sees me and she greets me, and then they moved me from that class too because when I told the head of the department, now the principal got mad at me. Why didn't you tell me first? The power, the authority, Why did you go
Mm.
to the head of the department? Well, because I was under her department, so that was my first, contact for the past 2 years, and she's the one who hired me and interviewed, blah, blah, blah. So I was more comfortable. No, I am the principal, so you should have come to me. Anything happens in my school, you should tell me. And I'm like, seriously? I am complaining that I am being mistreated in this school too. And she probably should have known why they moved me from other because I was not treated right over there. And now she is in that power struggle like, why? wasn't I approached? So she is like further, you know, putting me down. And this is the point I was like, okay, I am out of here. Just gonna complete my school year and that's it.
Yeah. There's so much politics. It goes on everywhere. It's so sad, but it's like, on the surface, it seems like everybody is playing fair and nice, but deep down, no. There's so much favoritism. There's so much like, yeah, speak up, say something, but when you say it, then it's like sometimes it's the outcome is not what it should be, they're not fair. Ah, yeah. I'm sorry, Khadija. Khadija, you want to say something? Do you want to share?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Um, I just wanted to say I've been in the corporate realm for probably over 20 years and currently hold a senior level position and have held senior level
I'm
position.
sorry, Khadija. Your voice is not that clear, though. Even though I hear you, but I'm having a little bit hard time understanding. Yeah, could you speak a little louder? Khadija, do you hear me? Did we lose you? Okay. So, Khadija, I'm going to move on and let me know when you want to speak again, after your mic is fixed. So I'll continue with my presentation. So here again, in my early years in corporate America, I struggled with speaking up. I was frustrated. I didn't know what I was, doing wrong. I didn't know how to fix it. Um, Based on my cultural conditioning, the only thing I thought I can do be more nice and polite to those people. Um, and that's what I continue to do, which again didn't do anything, to fix the situation. Maybe it hurt. It kind of what it did. It probably made it worse for me. Um, and then it took me some time to understand that actually I was wrong. My approach to take care of this situation or this thing was wrong. And so again, there are, we talked enough about the situations, about why it happens to us. Um, Again, with the women of from different backgrounds, from cultural and religious beliefs. I think we struggle more than others, maybe the people who grow up here. So I have some tips to kind of take care of some of the things, which some of them were very helpful for me. So here are my top 10 tips. Um, the first one is, again, do not hesitate to speak up. As a Muslim woman, we do have a tendency to stay quiet, to avoid conflict, to be on the sidelines. I don't think it's the right way to go about it. We are people at the end of the day, regardless of our color, our background, our religion, being different than people who are living in the West, basically. And that doesn't mean that we should stay quiet. We should speak up. Second point is break free. Fear holds us back. And I say that from my experience. Overthinking, really being fearful does not help the situation or doesn't help anything. At this point, I'm a firm believer. Um, Say what you have to say, but we do have to watch our, like how we frame it. we do have to have like a calm and professional demeanor. We do, have to stay within those professional boundaries, but we should try to kind of, express our feelings. Number three, practice expressing your feelings. If you find yourself one of those people, which I myself was, who had a hard time expressing the feelings, I knew I was feeling something and I didn't even know what exactly those feelings were and how to go about kind of expressing it without getting loud and angry and mad. Some of it, again, comes from cultural conditioning. And if you are one of those, people, just practice it. Practice in front of the mirror, practice or with your, family members, practice with your friends, the ones you trust. But the more you express yourself, um, the more you will be able to find, your how you express it, your kind of like, what works for you, what, where you feel comfortable. But again, that will all come to you with practice. So practice your, expressing your feelings. It's another, good way to kind of find your voice, see what works with you, how you feel comfortable expressing it without getting mad or loud with people. Do not wait to share your ideas, to highlight your achievements. Sometimes that makes us mad. We get angry. Um, and again, sometimes we feel like, uh, you know, we are doing a great work. We know we are killing it at work. We hope that our bosses, our managers will see our, achievement or the great work we are doing. In this day and age, no. If you have an idea to solve a problem, share it. If you have done something good in that week or a month, maybe send an email to your boss, just kind of sharing what you did. Set up a meeting and just kind of talk about your achievement. Don't wait for the year end. Just say what you have to say, again, within those professional boundaries, within, finding the right professional words, but do share it. Number five, again, maintain a neutral and respectful tone in your communication. That is the key. In professional settings, you do have to watch how you kind of frame your point, how you say it, and especially if you know you have a difficult person on the other side who you might have to kind of stay calm with or kind of watch what you say. So just, kind of watch how you communicate. Self-discovery, number six. I do believe that we all are different. Our perspectives are different. Before we go out in the world and we really just start, trying to be like other people, try to say things, really do spend some time knowing who you really are at the core, you know, rather than trying to be someone else or just saying things. See what works with you, what kind of person you are, why you are feeling the way you are feeling. And once you really kind of spend the time to really see, your own personality, then you'll be able to express yourself in a more authentic way and more unapologetically. That's what I found. I used to get frustrated. I wanted to kind of get other people sometimes styles, and I didn't even know what I'm feeling. But when I started to really understand who I am at the core, then other things started unfolding for me, and I found it easier to express my feelings. Number seven, stop people pleasing. We second guess ourselves. Again, in the South Asian culture, we have a tendency to people please, so avoid them. They don't work. They don't work in corporate America. They don't work in even your personal life. Sometimes you find that really late. Number eight, advocate. You are your own best advocate, and sometimes you're only advocate. You are you are the only person who's going to speak up for yourself. No one else is. So don't wait for someone else to see if things are not fair. You have to speak up for yourself. Number 9, love yourself. Looking after yourself, speaking up for something that doesn't seem right, that doesn't sit well with you. Loving yourself is loving Allah. And I'm a firm believer at this point in my life. The self care, looking after yourself, is a form of ibadah. And number 10 is have faith. Have faith, tawakkul in Allah, especially after you have done what you thought was the right thing to do in that situation. Um, that He will make things right for you and remove the obstacles. Sometimes, honestly, maybe staying in that position, staying in that role is not the right thing. But again, if you have done enough to make things right for you and things are still not going your way, maybe your time is up. You've done your job, you've done your time in that role or in that position in that company. Maybe it's just time to move on. And just move on or start planning your exit with the tawakkul and faith that you did what you could, and at this point, you know what, it's just time to move on. So that's all I had to share. I'm open to any questions that I can answer or anything that you guys want to share.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Saba. This was really great. Do we have any, and to all the sisters for sharing their stories and voicing they're finding their voice. Do we have any questions? Does anyone have any questions for Sister Saba, or you have anything to share?
Let me try this again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Sister Khadija. Go for it.
Okay, perfect. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Saba, I want to applaud you for this work that you're doing here. I've been in the corporate realm for about 20 plus years, and I've held senior level positions, and I currently hold senior level positions. And, I've seen it's not for the weak at heart. The corporate world is not for the weak at heart. But my question is more around um, how much does cultural conditioning play with our current generation? And I'm talking about specifically Muslim girls, because when I go to massages and even in the corporate world, I do find Muslim women extremely reserved and playing it very small, which is concerning to me that, this is some of your cultural background, how you was raised. What are we doing for, current generation of Muslim girls to ensure that they are feeling empowered and that they have a voice?
Yeah, thank you so much, Khadija, for sharing your background and for the question. This is the reason why I do what I do, because my passion is to support the young professional girls not to fall into the trap that I was. And this is why I want to raise awareness, whether it's people come to me on one-on-one or if I get the opportunity to speak up in the groups like this one. Or myself, I have a daughter who is going to university right now studying in finance. And I know she will, she's very passionate about one day landing on a good job and starting her career. And the last thing I want to do, keep her small and not prepare her for the world that I experienced. So it's really raising awareness, in my opinion, and really, kind of raise them for this world, not for the world that we came from, because that is not going to work. And like sometimes I find myself even questioning, maybe my world was different, but with the social media, with so much, the girls are, our kids are so educated, are they, more aware than I was? um I don't know. Sometimes your personal, your upbringing, how your environment is at home can also play a big role, how your parents are raising you. But I hope they're raising them differently now. But again, raise awareness, support them, prepare them. That is my mission, So this is why I do what I do. I again, I actively doing that at home with my own daughter. And that's why, I speak and I talk about these things, in these forums. Any other question? Let me see. I think I saw one. How do differentiate people pleasing and being respectful? I think, in my opinion, you can, if being respectful, sometimes people pleasing is when you just don't even speak up or make your point. Um, you know, just because you're afraid it may hurt other person's feeling, or you don't want, you want to avoid conflict. And I think that's people pleasing, that if you worry too much about other people's feelings, or you don't want to talk about difficult situation because it's going to ruffle feathers. Being respectful, in my opinion, you can still talk about difficult situations or topic in a, again, professional manner. And if you don't know how to, practicing with your family members, with your friends, by yourself will help you with that. Just practice speaking in a calm, professional manner. Again, we work in corporate America or professional settings. If it's not just a corporation, other work, we do have to be kind of like professional when we address even difficult topics or situations. So we just have to maintain that kind of respect or professionalism, and we can still talk about difficult things. So another question, I was curious how you were raising and teaching your daughter based on this generation not being less. Again, my approach is really to she is in her second year. She is in Rutgers Business School. Again, I talked to her. She's very competitive environment, but she's in a lot of different those professional clubs. She attends those meetings regularly. I encourage her to go network, talk to people. Go put yourself out there. Just because you're a Muslim woman, just because you are Pakistani, that doesn't mean you have to play small. You have to know your boundaries. You have to maintain your professional, character, and and move in the society with your religious beliefs. But speak up, go there, put yourself out there, expose yourself in the world, talk to people. So I encourage her to really go out there. Yeah, education is important. She's a bright kid, alhamdulillah, she's doing great. But at the same time, you just, and I also learned this from my experience, just being great in education doesn't mean you're going to be great in professional life. You have to know how to work with people, how to network, how to kind of, you have to have emotional intelligence. That's another topic that's very close to my heart. Maybe it's for another day. But yeah, you have to understand different personalities. You have to know other things other than being the subject matter expert, in your field. So this is how some of the things I do to kind of train her for the real world. You're welcome.
This was
Any other?
very good. So it's a time check. It's 7:57. So, Sister Sub, I do appreciate you being here and sharing all of that with us. Do we have does any of the women have any other questions that they'd like to ask or share? All right, I take that as a no. So on behalf of the Muslim Professional Group, I would like to thank you, Sister Saba, for being here with us. And I also would like to thank everyone who attended. Jazakumullah khairan and have a great night.
Thank you, Saima. Thank you, everyone. I just have this one last slide here. I would thank you for your time, and I would love to connect with all of you. And here is my LinkedIn and Instagram ID. If you guys want to kind of connect with me, you can connect me on these two platforms.
Excellent. And we will be sharing that as well. If you ladies are on the WhatsApp group for the Muslim Professional Group, we will share it as well. But thank you. And it's on the screen too. So Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.